Today is April 15th, 2020, and Anthony and I are going to be talking to a lot of great people today. Well, by a lot, we mean two. Faisal Sublaban of Bonotel Travel and Libert Alesia of Smart Traveler. That's right. We are talking to travel tour operators. We're talking to travel agents. We're going to find out what the people are thinking right now as we deal with this crisis. Anthony Melchiorri, good to see you today, my friend.
What's up, my friend? How are you? It's good to be seen, and it's good to be with you. And I'm really excited about today's show because we're getting a perspective we really haven't gotten before, which is what does outbound tourism look like? What does inbound tourism look like? And what are the questions you're getting? I mean, I think one of our producer, Jeff, just threw a fascinating fact about Greece, and our guest was going to talk a little bit about a fascinating fact about the Pantheon. So I'm looking forward to all these fascinating facts, my friend.
Yeah, and for some reason I said Smart Traveler, not Smart Flyer. I'm a dummy this morning. I so apologize. Smart Flyer, you guys know them. Big company. Rebecca's one of the top agents over there. All right, I got to get my act together this morning, Anthony. But before we do that, I want to tell you, I got some really good news this morning. We are putting together a gangbuster of a show next week on Monday. I want everybody to be here at 12 Eastern Daylight Time because we've got Jim Alderman. And for those of you who don't know, he's the brand new CEO of Radisson Hotel Group. He's going to be here live with us on Monday for his first ever interview in this position. So I'm really excited about that one.
And can I drop Tuesday?
Yeah, go for it, man.
Well, Tuesday is a big moment because we have a legend. We have someone that really kind of shifted travel, destination travel in this industry. We have the only person I know that had Michael Jackson at his wedding as a best man, and Nelson Mandela was the godfather to his daughter. The one and only, who is it, Glenn?
Jerry Inzerillo.
So really excited about that. Really excited about his perspective and his just completely boundless energy and optimism. Because I think we need boundless energy and optimism today, Glenn.
Yeah, we definitely need a lot of boundless energy and a lot of optimism out there. And I got to tell you guys, I'm trying to be as energetic and positive as possible. And more breaking news for all of you there. I know that you've been following the struggle that I've been having with my glasses. We're on the verge of having a new fashion statement here with my red tape, but no, it's going to be over really soon because I've got some brand new glasses coming, I think, today. And I want to thank the good folks over at Bartech for making that possible because they are sponsoring the show, and I was able to go get myself some new glasses because of it. So I want you guys to look out and help the good folks at Bartech. They've been around for more than 30 years with minibar operations and have a technological solution for all in-room sales. And I personally believe that we're going to see more opportunities for in-room sales with food, with beverages, with all sorts of stuff as people get a little bit more used to getting out there and traveling and all of that kind of stuff. And also thanks to Cintas, who's been very good to us as well. Right, Anthony?
Absolutely. And I think if you're not using Cintas to professionally clean your hotels at this point, you really should consider it. And, you know, there's someone sent me an article this morning that they're getting everyone in their rooms fogged before the next guest checks in. And I don't know how expensive that is or isn't. But during this pandemic, it seems to be the way to go. So thank you to Cintas and thank you to Bartech. And more importantly, thank you for saving Glenn's glasses because I'm sick and tired of hearing about it. Let's go on with the show, my brother.
All right. Let's bring in Faisal. Let's bring in Rebecca. But do not speak yet because we need to do our official guest entry. All right. Now it's official. You guys are here. You're on the show. I would like very much to welcome Faisal Sublaban to the show. I'd like very much to welcome Libert Alesia from, what's the name of that company again over there,
Smart
Rebecca?
Flyer.
There you go, Smart Flyer. I've known Rebecca for a really long time, and I didn't even know when I first met you that you're such an amazing travel agent and really on the pulse of what was going on in the country. She's really one of the top folks there, and Faisal's company is Bonotel is really a great company, and we're going to get great insights from them. And I also want all of you to not take a shot every time I say the word great, or else you guys are going to be drunk by the end of the show. I don't know why I keep saying that over and over, Anthony. Help me over here, would you?
Because you're nothing without me, Glenn. So let me save you right now. So Rebecca, I'm going to start with you. And first of all, tell everyone who you are, what your company does, and tell me what you think. Tell me first of all the state of the travel agency industry the last 3 years coming up to this pandemic, and also where do you think they're poised to come out of after this? I know 3 years coming in, the growth of travel agents were going up and up and up. So tell me, do you think that's going to continue? And tell me, travel agents more important than ever? So first, tell us who you are.
A lot of questions, Anthony. All right, I see. We need a lot of.
Met me.
So I'm Libert Alesia. I'm a travel advisor with Smart Flyer, luxury concierge travel agency based in New York City. And look, the last 3 years was seeing already a trend of people using travel advisors. It's more and more common than ever. And Glenn and I have talked about this in the past.
Glenn has used your services before because you are so awesome. And you think a grizzled traveler like me could do it myself, but I know what I don't know. And that's why I rely on people such as Rebecca. Please continue.
Oh, thank you. Well, so yeah, it is, people are outsourcing more and more. Time is our most valuable commodity. And so people want seamless, expeditious, and excellent travel, which is why they've been coming to advisors more and more. While I do think this global situation is obviously causing something of a bottleneck in the travel industry, and we're obviously seeing a real downturn in the immediate in terms of travel, I think the value of a good advisor has just skyrocketed. My least favorite question for the last 7 years has been, why would anyone use a travel agent in this day and age? I don't think anyone's asking that question right now. None of my clients have waited on hold for an airline. None of them have waited on hold for a cruise line. We've taken care of all that for them.
Right. And I think that's a good point. As a matter of fact, I'm sending you a text right now asking for your cell number through our private chat here. I'm going to use my travel agent because that coming out of this, we're going somewhere. What's great about information is that you can get information quickly, but what's also great about what's happening right now and the transparency of what's happening right now in the last 10, 20 years is there's so much information. I don't know where to go. I don't know who to trust. And that's what we saw coming up to this, that's why travel agents has seen an increase year over year the last 2 years, because yes, you can book your own flight and you can book your own information, your own hotel and your own itinerary. Good luck and God bless you, because there's so much out there. And especially now, I'm going to call you and say, Rebecca, who can I trust? Don't give me the sales pitch. Don't tell me who you're getting a bigger markup from, because you don't do that. Tell me where I'm staying, because I know your number and I'm going to come after you if it's not perfect. And I think that's what people want today.
It is. It's all about developing long-term relationships. And by the time you get to know people and their families for a while, they can call in and really say to me, look, we want to plan our February break. What will we like? And the idea is to know somebody well enough to be able to tell them what I think will work for their family, which might not be the same. Glenn's and Anthony, you guys may have two different styles. Your families.
Oh, I'm certainly we have two different styles. Okay, the only person I know in the world to give us difference between styles is I say good morning to this one. Hey, Glenn, how are you? And this is Glenn. I got some really good. Wait. Let me finish. I got some really good news for you today. I was what?
That was literally me 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, and he literally gave me good news. I was like, who says that? But anyway, so I love that perspective. We're gonna continue. But Faisal, what are you seeing going from what you're doing? Tell everybody who you are and kind of what your company does and what your perspective is.
Yeah, Faisal, Sublaban, President and CEO of Bonotel Exclusive Travel. So we're one of the largest inbound operators here in North America. So we supply tour operators in the UK, Germany, actually in 73 different countries who will sell to travel agents and package travel to North America. So from one of our largest clients is Virgin Holidays. So you can book through them out in the UK. You book your flight through Virgin Atlantic with them, and they'll bundle it with a package to, say, Las Vegas with Bellagio.
Awesome.
and or anywhere else in North America and several of the other destinations we distribute to. But
So now I know
echo-
why. Now I know why. When I see your Instagram page, I want to be you. Now I understand why. Go ahead.
The hotel boss. Yeah, exactly. You're Hotel Impossible. I'm the hotel boss. But yeah,
That's
no.
right.
And I'm the hotel guy wannabe. And for those of you who mentioned Virgin, go check out novacancynews.com and our repository of all the past shows that we've been doing here since we started our 12 daily show, because we got a great interview with Raul Leal. He's the CEO of Virgin Hotels, and we learn a whole lot about what they're going through right now as well. Faisal, back to you. Sorry about that.
Yeah, to echo what Rebecca was saying, I definitely think we have seen a resurgence of the travel agent. I think that it is a way of booking travel internationally, especially for long haul. When you're coming from, say, Europe to the U.S., there's also travel laws that protect the consumer when traveling and booking through a travel agent or tour operator. Consumer protection laws. So if we sell something, if we sell a room, let's say at Bellagio, and say it's Lakeview and there is no Lakeview, they're entitled to refunds, and they can very easily do so. Where if you book through an OTA internationally and do the same, it's buyer beware. So you really have a more challenging recourse process. But domestically, I think what we're seeing is there is a resurgence of the travel agent, because people have different ways of wanting to travel, and the one thing people value most now is time. And so I think that more and more consumers are now, instead of doing a ton of the research themselves, they're like, hey, for a nominal fee, or even if it's slightly more and often even less, I'd rather call up a travel agent who knows what I want and where. So when I look at how do you travel? We mentioned Anthony and Glenn, you travel differently. Well, each trip is different. If I'm going with a bunch of my buddies to South Beach, it's a different trip than if I'm going with my wife than it is if I'm going with the family and children. And so
What do you think
what
do you think the first question, Rebecca, why don't you answer first? The first question is going to be from your customer, your guest, the first time they take a trip. What do you think? I would imagine the first three questions are going to be very different before this pandemic than after this pandemic. What do you think the first three questions will be from your client?
Well, the number one question that we're getting right now is, when can we travel again? I mean, I'm like getting on the regular texts from people.
Wow.
Yeah, they want to know, when am I going to be able to go? People are dying to go someplace warm and tropical, especially those of us that are, in New York, and you're really confined to your house most of the time. And I think, like many people, we're saying we don't have a crystal ball. I'm anticipating domestic travel to be big for the rest of the year. Faisal, you think so too, right?
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be more regional travel domestically. I think the summer's kind of toast for a lot of the international travel from both sides of the pond. I definitely think we're going to see regional travel, weekend trips, driving.
Yep.
But do you think the second question will be, when can I travel, and is it safe to go to that hotel, and what are their cleaning procedures?
No question. I think the cleaning procedures, I mean, you can see the airlines have really been front and center with now. I never remember seeing that on any airline's website before. How do you clean your airplane? But it's there now. And I think that's going to be an issue with people with hotel product moving forward as well.
I think that's going to be critical. And as you said that, our sponsor, Cintas, who does sterilization of hotels, just popped up. So good timing, Jeff, the producer. But I think that's going to be the number one priority. And it's not so much people are going to go through the checklist from 1 to 10, say, okay, they do this, they do this, they do this. It's more like, oh, they're doing something. I see a big fog machine with people with suits on. Okay, I'm good. And then I'm going to go and lice all the crap out of it anyway.
By the way, I was doing that before.
Well, what I said was there was levels of people, right? So depending on what airline, if I flew, there's two airlines. If I ever flew, which I've tried not to, I would clean my seat. If I flew, and I'll say Delta, I never really worried about that. I just felt like the planes were cleaner. But then there were people like you, Rebecca, that were sitting next to me and cleaned me and cleaned my shoes and cleaned everything. I saw a lady clean her entire seat. That actually made her son nervous, cleaned everything, put towels down, everything. And then after all of this, I was like, wow, that is some intense stuff. And this was before the pandemic. She gets up with her bare feet and goes into the bathroom.
Shoes on the airplane.
That's absolutely amazing. I do want to say, hey, look, we got a little support for the world of travel agents right there. Travel agents are better because they don't just book flights and hotels; they book adventures. Love to how to become one. I agree with that. Because my whole notion is I could get myself around the United States when I'm doing speaking engagements, or back in the day when I was doing speaking engagements when we were allowed to leave the house and go to the industry conferences. But when it comes time to actually booking trips to places that I'm not familiar with, I want somebody that can help guide me through that process. Which brings us to a question that we're getting. This one is for you from Joseph Angelini. What is the temperature of international tour operators and their current activity for 2021? Well, business for 2020 may be in question. We optimists out there think it's going to rebound in 2021. Are customers seeking contracts for 2021 and beyond at this point?
Yeah, interesting you should say that. So a lot of our traditional tour operators, they are planning for Q4 2020 travel. That's kind of an area that they're focused on. And then 2021 travel. There's also, a lot of the airlines and tour operators gave out vouchers to some of their more loyal customers. And so obviously they vary by expiration date, but a lot of them, instead of giving the refunds, gave vouchers that have to be redeemed by the end of this year for travel through 2021. And so, we're feverishly preparing in order to have rates and availability into 2021, which is, a little bit early at this stage, but if your vacation was canceled or holiday was canceled to the US for this summer, or you're not sure if you're going to be able to go, people we anticipate are going to be rebooking for next summer.
Right. That makes sense. Now, earlier you guys had said something along the lines of a lot more domestic drive-to traffic. That's something that we find that the hotel professionals we're speaking to here every single day agree with. But how do you think that it's actually going to affect the numbers of people that are able to travel? I know that I was planning to go to Japan with my family this summer, but I took a big I took a big hit this year. I lost a lot of speaking engagements because all the events were canceled. I lost some clients because stuff went down, right? I don't know if I'll necessarily be able to afford to take a big trip, but maybe I can afford a smaller drive-to trip. Is that kind of what people are starting to think out there, that maybe they still go do something, even if they couldn't do something more grand? And how are you kind of processing that whole maybe people don't have money like they did 2 months ago thing?
That's what I'm seeing a lot of as well. So people that maybe had like a bucket list trip or something of that to that effect planned for the near future, they're putting that off till 2021, but they still want to do something. So we're looking at, particularly a lot of the islands did a very fast job of closing, and I think that we'll see some Caribbean and Mexican travel loosening up fairly soon. I mean, again, without
fairly soon, once things start going, you mean, right?
Yes, exactly. So I think that people are going to look for sort of substitution trips that they can take still feel that they're getting that family vacation and that experience they were looking forward to without maybe spending, money that at the moment is pretty dear to them. And I would just add that it is a great time to take advantage of deals. I mean, there's a lot of promotions going on. The airlines are giving terrifically liberal cancellation policies to people that book travel right now. The hotel industries are really interested in seeing people book and reschedule rather than cancel. So I think from an economic perspective, it's probably the best time to book travel.
Right. That makes a whole lot of sense to me. Faisal?
Yeah, from our end, yesterday we were on with one of our large national park hotel partners, and they're anticipating a similar thing as Rebecca said, is that people maybe had the European vacation planned that unfortunately they're canceling. You don't know if you're going to be able to travel there first and foremost, but also there are budget constraints. And so, when you look at what's an alternative, you could drive through the national parks. You could also, we're working with our California partners, kind of doing a drive through California and up the coast. But we definitively see that change in behavior and anticipate that people are going to buy down in 2020 and then sort of start to replan and revisit their 2021 sort of grand vacation or holiday.
Right. So that makes a whole lot of sense to me, Anthony, that people want to go out there, maybe some baby steps at first, something that doesn't cost as much, and then kind of pick up the reins for what they've normally done.
Well, I invite you both to Roxbury Contemporary Resort in Roxbury, New York, which is unbelievable destination they just built before this whole thing happened. And please, Rebecca, Faisal, please go to the Roxbury Contemporary Resort in Roxbury, New York. It will blow your mind. You've seen everything. I've seen everything. I've traveled. I did a show called Extreme Hotels, 5-Star Secrets, Hotel Impossible. I've been to 50 countries, 48 states, seen every hotel you can imagine. You've never seen this. So highly suggest you look it up. It was just rated the #1 North American resort for being Instagrammable.
Wow.
And it was #4 in the world for most Instagrammable hotel. See, Rebecca didn't write down things until like say #1 resort in North America.
Writing it down, baby.
That's all right, Rebecca. I'm on your side. I never write down anything Anthony tells me to do.
Roxbury Contemporary Resort. Look it up. Everyone, go to Roxbury Contemporary Resort. Look it up. It is mind blowing. And they just built something called Roxbury Stratton Falls, and it is a perfect getaway. Once this all goes away, it's a perfect getaway. Your literally first day, say, everybody go. It's the first, everybody will be right on the turnpike and go to Roxbury. I'm telling you, it's great.
Jeff Dusney, should companies promote vacation, I guess, within the USA? I would say, yeah.
Yes.
Right?
I don't understand that question.
Yeah, I mean, promoting local travel and that stuff like that. All right, so a spokesman of a survey asked Italians whether they would like to pass the next summer holiday. 83% would stay in Italy, wondering if it's a good idea to stay in one's country to help the internal economy, which is a little bit different, I think, than what we were talking about before, which is whether or not people have the stomach to travel internationally. Do you guys have an opinion about helping out our own first and domestic markets?
Let me jump in for a second. 82% of Italians last year said they weren't traveling. They were going to stay home in Italy. So 83% is no big change. I don't think Italy is the best place to say if they'll be traveling away from their country.
We need to have a recount. Have a recount. We need a recount.
All right.
But that's a good question.
Yeah. And one little bit of good news over here. Look at that. My wife and son own and operate their own travel business. They haven't lost any clients, and they're very busy rebooking clients. That's pretty a positive thought right there.
Yeah, but Rebecca, do you get money for rebooking clients? I mean, do you make money? No, right?
No, I mean, this has definitely been sort of a lost leader type of situation for us. You know, we're canceling or hopefully rebooking. And no, you do lose the instant sort of instant gratification on that. But my clients have been uniformly and unanimously grateful for the assistance. I would totally agree with that comment. The commentator, the last poster
comment,
because I haven't lost any clients either. If anything, going through this situation together has just deepened our relationship, and I think will solidify their loyalty, I hope, and mine to them as they'll come back to work through this together. To Glenn's question, I think there's definitely a sense of people wanting to support their local economy and sort of support local businesses that need tourism here. Don't you think so, Faisal?
Yeah, I definitely see a lot of that happening. You know, one of the other concerns that people aren't really talking about is, as we sort of remove or sort of taper down travel restrictions within the U.S., who knows what the other countries are going to do? There's a lot of people that may not be able to leave their country, depending on what their government's saying. They may have to stay in. And there's also what I think another topic that most don't bring up is, a lot of countries are going to continue to close their borders to people visiting and or certain countries leaving to come, like say the US blocks their borders from Italians coming. I mean, it's not completely crazy to think that may happen, or at least, be staggered. And that's something
really
where it may not be in their control to be able to travel or leave the country.
That's a good point.
Yeah. All right. So I'm just I'm monitoring some of the questions that are coming through. Anthony, you're getting a whole lot of questions on there.
You know, I'm real popular, Glenn. Unlike yourself, I'm a popular guy, brother.
You are, and today you're proving more popular than me. You've had almost twice as many people on your stream as
What happened
my
was
stream.
yesterday I wasn't in part of the show, and people got really, really concerned. They came back to make sure that I was okay, and I was getting a lot of DMs saying, "Please don't ever let Glenn host this thing by himself again."
I think that whoever was DMing you was probably right on target with that. So Matt Ward is saying, talk of the attractions using virtual queues and visit times and things like, I guess, theme parks and that sort of stuff, and guests entering pools to help restrict the numbers in attraction areas. I think that's an interesting thing to talk about. Let's just look at it at the resort level for one. Forget something huge and colossal like a major theme park, because that's a whole other thing on its own. But how do you think hoteliers might be taking a look at some of their resort amenities to make sure that they still get customers while being instilling confidence in those people that they will be safe and secure and come out of this thing healthy as we transition back to something more normal?
Well, Glenn, and was that question for one of us? I'm sorry, was it for Anthony?
No, I'm going to shut up for a while.
He's not, but he'll try.
I'm a huge Four Seasons person. I just love them. And I think, I have a lot of favorites, but they're in that top sector. And I know that they're going to be utilizing their Four Seasons app so that you can do online check-in and you won't have to wait in line or wait at a counter with other people. It makes it much easier to maintain that sort of socially distant aspect that we're looking for. I think we're going to see a lot of the bigger luxury brands also increasing their residential style options, like villa style options and setups where people have a little bit more of a feeling of a bubble around them, where they maybe don't have to go into communal spaces. And I think buffets we may see become a thing of the past.
I think so too. Yeah, I did a consulting phone call last night with a company, and I said that they need to be speaking to the folks at the major hotel brands that they're affiliated with. They have to get rid of these buffets. Customers are not going to want to have anything to do with that. And I think grab and go, single serve portions, that sort of thing is going to be extremely critical going forward.
And what do you think about that, Faisal? Because I would imagine a lot of your groups are looking for that.
Well, especially, the international traveler, they have an expectation to have breakfast included. And I definitely think the buffet, the way in which you have to serve, the buffet is going to change. I don't necessarily think it's going to completely go away. If you have somebody there that's serving, hey, what do you want, and serving it for them, I think that's still a possibility. I know, we have sports teams that travel, youth sports teams, and a big item for them is ensuring that they have buffet breakfast available. Obviously, you can have grab and go and those sort of things, but I definitely think it's going to change. We had on our call yesterday with one of our large hotel partners who has a buffet style, a high-end buffet. This is a 5-star hotel, and they said that while that's a cornerstone of their offering within the hotel, because it's this elaborate buffet,
right,
that they definitely are going to change the way that it's set up and, have it be more service style, to where, you're going to have employees there serving and having guards and those sort of things, as opposed to just a free for all. But I think that they're just going to morph a bit. And the thing about the hospitality industry is we're extremely creative and innovative when we have to be. And, I have 100% confident that we'll figure it out.
I was in Vietnam and I was at this 5-star hotel, and I was not expecting this beautiful 5-star hotel in Vietnam to serve this incredible breakfast. And it was so elaborate, but everybody was serving me. There were sneeze guards everywhere. And I felt I didn't really care before. I would have eaten it no matter what. But now that would make me feel very, very safe. I'm actually getting on a call at 3:15 with a client, and they're in a position right now where do they continue with their 5-star hotel? It's going to be in California. And right now it's basically gutted. They gutted this beautiful landmark hotel, or building, I should say. Or should we wait? And at 3:15, and if they're listening, this is what I'm going to say. If they can afford to go forward, and there's a big if, you're going to be able to standardize what a 5-star hotel looks like coming out of a pandemic. What does the lobby look like? What does, to your point, what does the breakfast look like?
Yep.
What does the technology look like? Is there a front desk? Do we maybe just completely get rid of the front desk, and do we do everything through your phone? And maybe there's just one office, a VIP office, but anybody can go in there. But you basically, through technology, limit people that go into that office. So I think it's an incredible opportunity for a 5-star hotel that can afford to move forward with building their hotel to really set the standard of what 5-star luxury is after this pandemic. And a lot of it's going to be technology. And like we say almost every day on the show, the touch points are going to be not as much, but they're going to have to be that much better. And to your point, if you're having someone serve me breakfast, that person is service and standard and smile and ability to tell me about the weather and everything else that's going on is going to be that much more important because there's not that many touch points.
Yeah, great. So a couple, got one interesting question. Stephen, don't worry, we'll get to your question in a little bit, but how do you think airports going to handle access? You think they're going to go the move with these temperature checks? And what do you guys think about all of that? Are your customers asking you about that at all, these temperature check ideas?
So I had been in East Africa when the pandemic sort of actually first hit. And the one thing that I noticed was traveling from Kigali into Nairobi, as we came down the escalator, they were scanning for full body temperature. There was a large monitor up, and you could actually physically see the outline of your body and your temperature written in the middle of it. And then similarly, leaving Nairobi into the next airport that we went to, they were taking a thermal scan as you came off the plane. And then we came into JFK, walked off the plane, and went through global entry, and nobody checked our temperature. I think 100% after an experience like this, we need to step up our game here to at least the standards that we're seeing in other countries, to be proactive in making sure that people are healthy and well when they're flying. I don't know, anyone feel differently than that?
No, I mean, I think it's going to become, the new norm. And again, as Anthony mentioned before, leveraging technology is going to be critical around this. I mean, I even see in large casinos and resorts that sort of becoming the temporary or potentially new norm. You saw the Wynn resorts in Las Vegas prior to closing down a few days prior. They had the thermal scanning, and they'd pull you aside and not allow you in. And I think that's going to be our new reality. I think at that time they got some pushback,
right?
Like, oh my gosh, who do you think you are? And I think that now that everybody realizes this is a real thing, and this is not going to be the last iteration of COVID. It's going to come back in some way, shape, or form, or influenza or what have you. And so I think all of these things are just going to be more proactive measures and become the new norm, when traveling.
And it was interesting because Wynn was the first, after that event, that terrorist event in Vegas a couple of years ago, they were the first people to have armed guards with the canines. And people was like, oh my God, that's like so over the top. I'm like, no, when I'm at a poker table, I'm worried if that guy's going to beat me, on the river. I'm not worried about somebody coming over the top to shoot me. That's what they're there for. So I was mortified with the other hotels weren't even close to the level of the Wynn. It was relatively shocking to me. And then they stepped it up, but they were the first ones out. Just like, again, you travel all over the world, and then you come back to America and you go through a LaGuardia airport and go, oh, I'm in a third world country. I didn't realize that. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, you see it even, within Middle East and some Asia countries, you go there, even before entering into a hotel, you're going through scanners, and your bags are going through scanners. And that's just kind of the norm. And, sometimes I think that we think it's just within those regions of the world. But if you think about the stuff that happens even here on our own soil in the US, some of these extra precautions make a lot of sense.
I tell you, when I go to a Broadway play, I'm upset if they're not checking bags. It upsets me. It's like, are you kidding me? I want to sit here and watch this play. Just check my bag so I know everybody else is, nobody's carrying when I'm watching, a Broadway play. So I think, listen, we got used to taking our shoes off. We got used to going through the things we don't even think about it anymore. And if you're a traveler, like all of us are travelers, nobody can get through TSA faster than us.
Clear, TSA, clear, everything.
People say to me, how long does it take you to get to JFK? I live 15 minutes from JFK. It takes me from my house, if I get up at 7 o'clock in the morning, I will be in the Delta Sky Lounge at 8 a.m. And people are like, that's impossible.
Yeah.
It's like, watch
It's
me.
not impossible for you.
Yeah.
You are super close. And I will tell you guys, when we do get back to traveling, I love Clear. They get me through
It's
every
amazing.
single time.
Yeah.
And you can't beat global entry if you're coming back into the
Clear is
United
better than
States.
global entry because I
Yes,
don't have
it is-
global
it
entry.
is.
I don't have global entry. That line is always longer than Clear. Clear is a rock star. I interviewed at Forbes last year, the president and owner of Clear.
I know.
And the technology that he's coming out with, the Clear is this is just like an inch of a yard that's going to come out. It's going to be huge everywhere. You're going to use it everywhere, and it works
Baseball
quickly. Everybody's
stadiums.
pleasant. And I'm always through instantly. And when an airport doesn't have Clear, I get very upset.
I do too.
Yeah.
I know. I keep getting this one question from people, and I know it's kind of a trick question. What is your gut telling us on when people are going to start to travel again? I know it's not really a fair question because how are we supposed to know? But any hints? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have kind of touched on it a little bit already, but I'm anticipating, again, without having a crystal ball, I think we're going to see some domestic and hopefully I think some Caribbean travel and Mexican travel in the later part of the summer and the early fall. Again, unless things take a very drastic turn in the opposite direction. And I am seeing regular levels of interest for December and February breaks, very custom, similar to what I would usually see. And I think that people are probably going to be looking into 21 for more exotic trips and places that are a little bit off the beaten path.
One of the things that we were hearing in the early days is pent up demand. There's going to be a lot of pent up demand. Do you believe that to be true?
I know it to be true because I've had people asking me if they can go now. So there have been a couple of ranches and a couple of places down south and out west that are specifically, they have safe houses, for lack of a better word, and they're very high-end luxury outfitted villas catering to a luxury traveler. And we've been getting inquiries for them. People are,
it's funny. Check out this. Cattle runs, usually less than 7 people, tent camping, drives to the zoo, like a lion safari here in Florida, where you're in your car. It reminds me of the old Great Adventure animal park that they used to have over there. That's a park from New Jersey.
So Faisal, when do you think it's going to open? When do you start anticipate, in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, we're in frequent conversation with our hoteliers trying to figure it out. The reality is nobody knows. So that's the honest to God truth. What we anticipate is probably start to see some demand trickle in the end of June. I think you really won't see much until after 4th of July weekend. And again, some of this is going to be business travel because some of these people have to go to these meetings and you're going to start to see people have a little bit more comfort if you have to go for a meeting and we'll see that bounce back first. And then I think the domestic traveler will slowly start to come, end of July into sort of the end of Q3, Q4. But I don't expect any extravagant, massive demand to come, right away. And then, we've spoken to some destinations, like Montage Los Cabos and some of those partners to where they're seeing, that pent up demand really start to pick up in large suites, villas, as Rebecca mentioned, at the end of Q3, Q4 for people that you're not sure what's going to happen through the summer, but they do have pent up demand wanting to travel in Q3, Q4. And I think that some people will make the move and really kind of spend some money as well.
Listen, if we got to a vaccine tomorrow, July 4th would be sold out by the weekend.
For sure.
And really, so I think it's kind of like gas in a car. You need gas to go. Right now, the vaccine and the testing is the gas for us to go. I think the reason none of us, and we're all usually very comfortable. I just talked to the leading guy who basically is always talking about forecasting, and none of us can forecast, but we're like 2 months ago, we're the first people to tell you what we think the 6 months out is going to look like. So it really starts with the healthcare. As long as we can get the vaccine and we can get testing, I think the quicker that goes, the quicker we go. And then there's going to be people that, like you said, there's people right now saying, "Hey, I want to book a ranch right now. I want to get on a plane and go." And then there's people like, are very, very conservative and probably won't go for a couple of years. And some people are not going to get on the plane anymore. Some people are never going to go on a cruise again. That's unfortunate. But there are going to be so many deals out there that the people that wouldn't have done it before are going to do it now. So I think you're going to swap one for one.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of to piggyback on what you said, Anthony. What we see is with human behaviors, there traditionally is a price point where people will motivate them to look the other way.
Put their life at risk.
It's true. They will. It's like, oh no, it's not safe in Italy. And the trip's $1,000. It's still not safe at $750, $500. Let's go. It's okay. It's not going to impact me.
Right. I'll give you an example. I have friends that were here last year, I think. And I said, let's, instead of, going to all these things and standing online, Statue of Liberty and Empire State Building, let's just go on a helicopter. And how much was it? I think it was like $500 a ride. No, that's too expensive. No. They said, no, I'm petrified of helicopters. I will not go on a helicopter. I'm petrified of helicopters too. But, I was in the Air Force, so I have to get on a helicopter. It's mandatory. So anyway, they were like, I will not get on a helicopter. I will not get on a helicopter. I said, well, normally it's $750. Today it's only $400. All right, I'll be on the helicopter. So to your point, everybody, everybody's got a point that they're a price that they'll risk their life, right?
Yeah, it's true though.
But
I want to go back to the cleaning issue for a second. We've been talking to the hoteliers about this particular issue. I'm curious as to what the expectations are from your customers and potential customers when they check into a regular hotel. What are they going to expect? Anthony's a big believer, and you should have the hand sanitizer right at the front desk, by the elevator, that sort of thing. And we've been having this debate here about whether or not people are going to actually want day-to-day housekeeping services. What do you think is going to happen in regards to that sort of stuff?
That's such a good question. I had seen a trend in the last couple of years of hotels that were offering pure rooms. I don't know if you guys have seen this too.
No, that's actually a brand, and MGM Resorts has gotten fully behind having some of these types of rooms. They have them at MGM Grand, at the Mirage, at the Park MGM, and I've stayed.
What is it called?
They're pure rooms.
AIC Hotel Group has a thing like that too. There's a few. They may be called different things in different places, but they have hypoallergenic pillows. It's just basically a more sterile environment. And I think
they're stay well rooms. They're from Delos. I think I'm just looking them up right now so I don't screw it up. But yeah, they've got air filters and purifiers in there. They've got
we should have them on, Glenn. We should have them on.
I was actually through our contact Andy over at Porcelanosa. They were getting us hooked up for that just as this crisis was starting. So I've got to reach back to them about talking to their leadership team, but they've got amazing people that are part of their advisory board, such as Deepak Chopra, Dick Gephardt, an actor. I don't know if you've heard of him, Leonardo DiCaprio or something.
Who's that?
Like that. Yeah. So a lot of
he looks like
Leonardo
Anthony.
Haussman.
Yeah.
He looks like me with better lighting. I have terrible lighting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And a tan.
Right.
That's
So the stay well rooms, just so I'm trying to get a complete list over here. Better air quality, enhanced ambiance, better rest. They've got the special mattresses in there. They help you with jet lag adjustment with your circadian rhythms because you can do stuff with the lighting in there. There's a whole list of hotels here. Just check them out at delos.com. You could find out there. And no, they are not also making the robots in Westworld. So don't get confused between those two things.
No, you
know what? I think right now that if they can get their product out there and they can talk about it more and more, I think that'll be the standard. It won't be that special room. I think it'll be a standard. And Faisal, just so you know, I actually have a tan. It's just really bad lighting. Look.
Just the top of his head, though.
But coming out of this, I think the people like yourselves that are still in it, still positive, and still being creative and anticipating. I think a lot of things we talked about on the show is anticipating guest questions, anticipating, will they want a pure room? Will they want a checklist? I know, Rebecca, I'm going to call you and I'm going to ask you to book my trip. So that's why I asked for your cell number. And the first thing I'm going to say is, can you get me a checklist of how they're cleaning their rooms? That's the first thing I'm going to want. And I think that the anticipation of your clients' questions, whether you're in travel or a hotel business, I think is critical. One of the things that Glenn and I, reason we did this show is because we anticipated that we were going to be the touchstone for people asking questions. And we anticipated between both of us, we barely have a high school education. We better get smart people on this program. It's not true. We're both college educated, which is scary.
I mean, I got a degree, but I didn't really pay attention from ninth grade through the time I graduated. All right, so we're going to get
cups. You got a degree in silo cups.
Yeah, we're going to get that website on the screen for everybody, delos.com. So don't worry about that. I'm getting asked that in the chat room over there. All right. So I'm starting to feel like we've done a lot in this conversation. We're headed towards the end of this particular chat, unless you guys have some sort of issue that we haven't really considered yet. Anything that you guys want to talk about at this moment before we start getting into some final thoughts and stuff like that?
I have one more question.
Yeah. Yes. Anthony.
Let them go first, and then I have one more final question.
I think you better ask the question. They ain't got nothing.
Yeah.
I anticipate that because I saw Rebecca going like this, so let me jump.
Hell no.
Yeah.
Okay.
Left after the past month.
So Rebecca, money is not an object. Nothing is just you want to go. What's the one place that I should go? Money is no object. Which money is an object? Make believe it wasn't. Where would I go with a family of 5?
The Roxbury.
Right after this pandemic. And that way, and what we like is we like a little bit isolation, a little bit restaurant, a little bit. Think of Turks and Caicos, but we've been there already. Where are we going? Come on, Rebecca.
Okay, I mean, money is no object, and a lot depends on how exotic you want to get. I love St. Bart for comparison to Turks and Caicos. I mean, that's like amazing. There's so much good food and beverage, amazing hotel product. But for something a little more exotic, I think for a family, South Africa, you do Cape Town, talk about great place to eat, waterfront, little safari, little winelands, penguins, everything good.
I like that, Anthony.
Yeah, everybody tells me that I have to go. I have not been there.
I haven't been there yet either. It's on
believe it or not, apparently our Hotel Impossible was the #1 show there for many years.
Oh, really?
Cool.
Yeah, you know that Jerry Lewis is big in France. I'm big there. I'm big in South Africa.
Yeah, but you're no David Hasselhoff to Germany. That's for
no, I'm not. Or Glenn Haussman to Long Island. No, you're right.
Hey, I don't know why Rebecca didn't say that you should come out here to the Haussman Resort Pool Club and Smokehouse. We've got it all. We've got poolside rib dining. So what else would you need?
There you
That's
go.
True.
Yeah.
So what do you think, Foster? Where should I go? Where
South Africa is a great choice. I think that there's, a couple of the Four Seasons properties in Hawaii. There's some
the one in
pretty
Hawaii.
spectacular properties.
Maui Four Seasons, my favorite.
Well, yeah, there's even some of the smaller islands. You can get Lanai and those sort of things that are amazing. The properties are spectacular. I like Los Cabos and some of the new product that's come out in Cabo. Montage Los Cabos. It's spectacular. Some of the Emerge, Chileno Bay.
I did a show there called the One and Only, a 5-star hotel.
Yeah. Great place.
Don't you love when they do this? When they do this from the heart, I love that.
Yeah,
it's amazing, right? Yeah, we did that on 5-star Secret
in Rwanda, Anthony. They're amazing.
Yeah. It was when I had a staff of 18 people. I knew this was a special place.
That's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. All right, so I got a question, and this is an interesting one from Ann Steinbring, because I'm seeing this happen right now at hotels around the country where staff is wearing gloves and masks. Do you think that's going to become normal until we see a vaccine or something like that? Anyone? Any of you three want to take a guess?
I personally think until there is a vaccine or a lot more clarity, I think it will be the new normal. I mean, if you look at just even a couple of weeks ago, wearing masks, you were kind of still, it wasn't that common. And then now when you go to the store, the airport, traveling anywhere, I think seeing people in masks is just a responsible thing to do. So I think it will be a normal for the near-term future.
Yep.
In the end, I think a lot of things revert back to the way that we're used to, especially if there's a vaccine. And within travel, the human spirit, I think that it's innate within us, and we have an incredibly resilient mind and ability to kind of forget and move on, for better or for worse. And I think that we won't forget everything that's happened, but I do think that we will come back, be stronger than ever, and accept the new norms, as Anthony mentioned when we referenced, taking your shoes off at TSA.
Yep.
We're talking about different types of travel. There's a gentleman on my Facebook right now. His name's John Keller, and I don't know if you see that, Glenn. John Keller is my director of photography. He's our a camera guy, and he's one of the greatest people in the world, and he's traveled to probably every country in the world. And I realized when the first season that we're on the show, we're having lunch, and he said, and I didn't realize this whole production thing, this whole TV thing, and what camera guys do and producers do. And he said, I was in East China with the real Doogie Howser doing surgery. And I was like, okay, back up. Think about what you just said. You're in China with the real Doogie Howser doing surgery. Like, you got a really weird life. And then one day we're in Vietnam, to mention Vietnam again, and John, sorry, but I have to tell everybody that you lost like 7 drones, and watching you fly a drone into the river was the best. But anyway, so we go to Vietnam. It's really hot. We're traveling all day, and like 18, 19 hours. We get there, and there's this beautiful 5-star hotel. I'm so excited. I'm like, I just want air conditioning. I just want everybody to leave me alone. And John's like, I'm pissed off. And I'm like, why are you pissed off? He goes, I just want a dirty bed downtown. I want to hang out with the locals. I was like, what? So everybody has different travel. And I was in the spa the next day, and I literally was walking around the block, and John, tell me if I'm lying, he's sitting on a blue container getting a haircut for 25 cents, having the best conversation with a local gentleman. And neither one of them understood each other, but they were having a ball. So everybody travels different. And John and Keller and I, he takes a bag that big, and I take 140 pounds of luggage, and that's not kidding. And he'll back that up. He once said to me on my backpack, we were going through an airport in Europe somewhere, and he looked at me and he goes, "What the is in your backpack?" And I go, "We don't have enough time for me to explain that to you." But anyway, hi John, I love you, brother. I can't wait to work on that documentary. It still makes me laugh. Yes,
it's funny, Anthony. Maybe it's a producer thing, because our creative director over at Bonotel, he's the same way. He could travel and he'll stay in the worst of the worst and be totally fine, or he travels
and he doesn't get tired, and he doesn't get tired. He's a little bit. I think he's a little bit older than me. And we were one night we were in where were we? We were in Sweden, I think, or Iceland or somewhere. No, we were in Norway. And we're, again, traveling 23 hours in this freaking car. We're exhausted. I can't breathe anymore. I just want to go to sleep. And he's like, hey, I'm tracking the Northern Lights. And I'm like, what do you mean we're tracking the Northern Lights? I'm going to sleep, bro. I got to get up in 2 hours. He goes, no, we got to go out. He makes me get out, look at the Northern Lights, and react like it's the most important thing that's ever happened in my life. And all I remember was cursing him out before and after watching the Northern Lights. It was like the most anticlimactic, because I was so tired. But he was so enthusiastic, and he was so excited. All the travel we've done together, I've never seen a more enthusiastic guy ever. And, as a host, I get a lot of benefits that a lot of people don't. And he just doesn't care. He'll sleep anywhere. He'll do anything. And he always gets the shot, but he cannot fly a drone to save his life. But anyway, sorry to go off on a tangent.
Sounds an awful lot like producer Jeff back there behind the scenes. All right. Just when I thought we were going to wrap up, I got another really good question from our friend Craig Sullivan, who's the founder of the California Lodging Investment Conference, the industry's last successful conference before all this went down. It was such a great event. Hope he has it next year. Do you think we will be seeing more air travel via fractional jets or operators like Jet Suite X owned by JetBlue? Rebecca?
Oh, 100%. Yes. I mean, I immediately, when this whole thing started, had calls from people who've never asked me about private jet travel before, asking, particularly like snowbirds who were down, whether they were in Florida or Puerto Rico, and they wanted to get back up to the Northeast, or some people that were up here in New York that wanted to get down to their Florida homes, and they have the means. First question, they were like, what do you have in private? What do you have in, can we do a shared with other people? And we have had great success with that before. During Sandy, we used them as well, and Maria. And I think that's going to be a absolutely huge thing now.
What's the difference in pricing for something like that compared to me taking the family of 4 on a regular airplane, a regular commercial flight?
If you have to ask, you can't afford it.
Right?
but aren't there private airlines that are relatively, and I say relatively, affordable?
Yeah, I mean, I'm partially kidding.
Yeah.
A true private is going to be very costly, but for this particular example, we had this group of seniors in Puerto Rico that wanted to get back to the mainland, and they were able to put 10 people, and they split the cost between all of them. And if you were going to fly first class versus this, I would say it was, probably about 150% more, not quite double, for first class versus. It's a steep increase. It's not for everybody, but I think people in a certain sector are going to be looking into that.
Well, if I had Glenn's money, I'd burn mine.
Yeah,
so
there's also Jet Suite X.
Faisal, I just have a feeling that you've been on
West Coast.
Really
there's a huge option.
Yeah, and I have a feeling, Faisal, you've been on a couple private jets.
I have, but not my own, unfortunately.
Going from California to Vegas, I just have a feeling you've been on those jets.
I have never been on a private jet, and one day I would love to be able to do that. It's got to be so freaking awesome to roll up there like a baller and get on that plane. Before we wrap up,
again, not my own.
I thought before we wrap up, Anthony, maybe what we could do is we could each tell a great travel story that we have, something fun, something that's going to really send us off today with some positive spirits and the desire to get back on the road. So maybe ask our guests first. Faisal, maybe you want to start this one off?
Great travel story. So, one of my favorite places to visit is Beirut in Lebanon, and some of the things that I love there, just kind of going for a walk down near Zaytuna Bay and peeling. It's a bay that has beautiful views. They have all these yachts and stuff that are parked there, and they have all these different cafes along the water there. And it's not super expensive or anything like that, but just kind of sitting out there, enjoying some of the culture, embracing some of the people. And I think, what reminds me of travel, from that location is just how hospitable the people are there, and welcoming, and just wanting to help out and ensure that you're having a great time. And, that's one destination. Obviously there are lots like that, but I think that's what gets me excited about travel, is the hospitable nature of our industry and people from all different walks of life and locations.
Beautiful. Rebecca?
I'm going to sing a love song to my favorite city of Amsterdam. We were there last summer with my husband and my son. It's like such a beautiful Venetian style. You got the canals to walk along, and it's a great blend of where you can really immerse yourself in art and culture. The foodie scene is fantastic. It's fun and lighthearted. The cultural differences, and there's still enough time. It's small enough that you can sit on a bench in the park with your kid and sort of talk about life. And I just, my favorite part of travel is experiencing it with people I love, and I can't wait to get back to it.
Beautiful. How about you, Anthony?
It's funny you say Amsterdam. I was going to say Sweden, but when I travel, even though I love John and we travel a lot together, I don't get to travel with my family, and I got to travel to 5 countries with my daughter. She was our associate producer, and she went to one of our shows called Extreme Hotels. So we brought her to Europe, and she traveled with us, and John taught her how to use a camera. And we had a night away, just me and her in Amsterdam. And exactly what you just, it actually brings a tear to my eye. Exactly what you just said. It was small enough, beautiful enough, bikes everywhere, canals everywhere, small, beautiful little restaurants. And I felt like we connected in a place that we've never really, like, in a way, and we're very close, but it was just really special. And then we make a left turn without me realizing. So this is where the story goes.
I already know.
So we make a left turn. Wait, this is funny. We make a left turn, and of course where are we?
The red light district.
I wouldn't know.
Right.
Asking for a friend.
Right. So we're on, what is that called? That strip?
In Amsterdam, the red light district?
Yeah, so we're in the red light district, and my daughter sees all the roundstones with the young ladies and starts taking pictures. I'm like, babe, put your camera away. Can't take pictures. So we put the camera away. So we're walking down, and we go into a bakery. True story. And my daughter's right next door, so I can go get her. She could tell the story. And they said, I said, walk in the bakery. My daughter said, can I stand outside? I was like, no, you can't stand outside. Come inside with me. Thank God she did. and I asked for some brownies or whatever, and the lady goes, "Well, there's wheat in them," and I said, "I can have wheat." And my daughter was looking at me, and she goes, "There's wheat in them," and I was like, "I can have wheat." And then my daughter looks at me, she goes, "Dad, there's wheat in them." And I was like, I really wish you wouldn't have told me that, because I would have had the best story ever. That at the time I got my 16-year-old daughter stoned in Amsterdam. That would have been the best story of my life. So Glenn, tell me your story.
Probably, if we have to keep it to that particular thematic, I think the coolest place I may have ever participated in that activity is on the top of a Genghis Khan statue in the middle of the Mongolian steppe. That was the size of the Statue of Liberty. And I'm standing there on the top of the horse's head with him riding horseback going into battle. And I got to smoke a little something there. That was insane experience that I've ever had. That whole thing, it was just so insanely trippy to me. Worst food I've ever had in my life, though.
So in 24 hours, we learned two things about Glenn. Yesterday, we learned that God and him don't really talk. And today we learned that he smokes marijuana. Okay, what else you want to share on this?
I said I smoked it there. I would never do something that is not legal here in the United States.
My apologies.
But I will also say that the most satisfying family
legal in
vacation,
Nevada. It's legal in Nevada, Glenn.
Yeah, the most satisfying family vacation I ever had, the coolest family vacation I ever had, and I'm going to give Rebecca props here, was my trip to Israel when I got my kids bar mitzvah there a few years ago.
Thank you, Glenn.
She freaking set us up on this trip that was beyond belief. I got to go river rafting down the Jordan River. I got to go on an archaeological dig and pull stuff out of the ground from before Jesus Christ was born. I got to go with my kids and ride dune buggies through a blown out Syrian air base and stuff like that. We did insane, incredible things that my family and I will absolutely never forget for the rest of our lives. And that, to me, is what the true spirit of travel is all about. Doing things that you never thought you'd be able to do, to share, to be together, to enjoy that spirit of hospitality that Faisal was saying, to eat some incredible food. Best falafel of my entire life in Israel. And I could just go on and on and on. I was really hoping to be able to do that again with my family, with Rebecca, to go to Japan this summer. But I'm going to do that with them this summer of 2021 and reach out to my friend over there at Smart Flyer.
That's the true power of a travel agent.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, right there. You just gave the best commercial for a travel agent ever.
Man, I would never have done any of that stuff because I would not have known about any of that stuff. Right?
And if say your friend told you about that stuff and you have to go on the internet and find all that stuff, think about the stress level. Mm-hmm. Right? And think about the financial impact of that you doing it yourself. God, it's just Faisal, you reacted to that. Would you do?
Well, no, it's the stress, and it's also the last thing you want is something to go wrong.
That's it.
No, you have to. I mean, if something goes wrong, you're gonna like the last thing that I always, when we speak to our clients, a lot of times, when interacting with them after their trips or anything like that, most of them are like, can you imagine if I screwed this up, how pissed off my wife would be or my husband would be or whatever it ends up being. And it's just not worth it. Just leave it to a travel expert such as Rebecca, a travel agent, and let them do what they do. And you show up and enjoy your experience that you paid for and always wanted.
And the best part was feeling like a VIP. And even when we got off the airplane in Israel and we had to go through customs, I don't know what you did, Rebecca, but they just we just skipped hours worth of a line and went to a special booth and they said, "Hey, how you doing? Come on into our country." And boom, we were there. That was amazing.
Smart Flyer client.
Yeah.
In the military, a commander said to me, "I just want one butt to kick." So as a travel agent, I just want one butt to call and say, "I got a problem," and I want them to fix it. And and again, it's usually when you're traveling, especially if you're traveling internationally.
Yep.
Usually, if you have a problem, it's like you need instant gratification. You need instant communication. I can't get I can't get a voicemail. I want that fixed right this second. And I've had those moments, and having somebody on speed dial is really, really critical.
All right. So I now that my cat is here, she's here to say, "Hey,
Oh,
I'm
there we
hungry.
go.
We got it. We got to
New
end
guest.
this. We got to end this show." Faisal, Rebecca, how about we start with Faisal? Tell us how people could find you and reach you if they want to talk to you about anything in the future and maybe get some trips with you. Faisal?
Yeah, it's Faisal, F-A-I-S. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Can you hear me there? Yeah. All right. Perfect. Yeah. Faisal, Faisal at Bonotel, Bonotel.com. On Instagram, I'm under the Hotel Boss, so you can find me there. There's always stuff. Just send me a DM if you have any other questions, comments, whatever you may need.
And there's only one hotel boss. All right, Faisal.
There is. That's it. That I know of. You know,
I want to see. I
want
want to see the hotel boss take on the cake boss. That'll be the ultimate food channel show or something. Rebecca, tell us about Smart Trial Flyer and how we can find you. Yeah, you ruined my confidence there, Rebecca.
You can find us on the web at www.smartflyer.com. My number's up there, 516-636-TRIP. I'm on social as Wanderology Travel. That's Wanderology Travel. And I look forward to connecting with your listeners. And thank you guys for having me.
Hey, and thank you guys so much for being here. I'm going to let you guys go, and we will say goodbye to you. Man, what a great show this was today, Anthony. I may have been in a crabby mood, but not anymore.
I don't know what I was anticipating. And that was a great show. New perspective and funny. My director, cameraman, John Kellerman told me to wrap it up. So apparently the show's over.
That's really pretty funny over there. So
I do want to say something before you wrap it up. And we're doing this show and I didn't tell you that I was going to do this, but I just thought of it. We've had obviously a lot of people going through a lot of things right now with the virus, and we come on here and we do the show, but people are affected in a real way. And unfortunately, my family got affected yesterday with someone's very, very close to us, Ed Antonio, who's our neighbor and friend and like a surrogate father to me. Unfortunately, he's 79 years old. And he passed away yesterday. So yesterday today's a difficult day.
Right.
And so
that's why. I know we told everybody that he had a previously scheduled engagement, but he was dealing with this personal issue and just needed some time.
Yeah, and we're still obviously dealing with it, and it's tragic. And in the spirit of Ed Antonio, when people pass away, you hear what a great guy. In 20 years, I don't think I took my garbage in. I don't think I ever got eggs because you always brought us eggs. And he was in a book club with my wife, just him and my wife with this book club, and just the kindest, most gentle man in the world. And if we were able to have a mass for him today, I'm telling you, St. Patrick's Cathedral wouldn't be big enough. So it's really important that we understand where we're still going to work. We're still worrying about, when are we going back to work? What's going on with the economy? That people are dealing with this in real time. And I have a very dear friend of mine that is a frontline doctor, whose job is airway management. So there's a lot going on, and I don't want anybody to ever think that when we're doing the show and we're laughing and trying to give information and doing things, that we understand what's going on, and that this show is really important to everyone, because at 12 o'clock, it's important, I should say, to me and to Glenn, because at 12 o'clock, we know we're going to be, and we have some semblance of order. So thank you for allowing us to do that. But I didn't want this day to go by without me giving a tribute to my dear friend Anthony Antonio and Ed Antonio, and just an incredible human being. And if I was half the man he was, I'd be a good man.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that with us. We're all going through horrible times, and I know we're here. We try to make light of what's going on, but that's our job. Our job is to educate, empower, and entertain you. So we know the situation is serious, and that's why Anthony was making fun of me earlier, because I was sounding so depressed while giving good news, right? So we're putting our best foot forward while we're on camera to help you guys out there find your way through. But we're also human too. All right, so I'm not going to do any more marketing messages here, because that just seemed weird. But thank you, Bartek. Thank you, Cintas, for sponsoring us. We'd love for all of you to continue to get more information from us. Just join our newsletter. Text the word hotel to 66866. That's the word hotel to 66866. Get our Sunday night newsletter. Get a recap of everything that we've been through the week and some other content. Well, thank you all for being here today. Really appreciate you forming this community with us. We love that you're here every day. Thank you. And we'll be back tomorrow with another great show and some amazing stuff next week. And on Friday, we're gonna feel good on Friday because we're gonna need a little bit of that. And now that I got my cat Splotchy over here, we're gonna be having she's here to let us know that we're gonna have a veterinarian group on, talks about pets and what you can be doing with them during this quarantine.
I sit on the board of directors of a veterinarian care group, which is a veterinarian care group here in New York City, and they're doing great things. And we're going to be talking about how you can help your pet get through this, and how your pet's helping you get through this, and what's going on. God forbid you do have an emergency, and so we're going to have the group on, and it's going to be fun. And so I ask everyone to have their pet on their lap. I'm going to have my dog Lily, and you'll have your cat with you. And and also one of the things I wanted to say before we end, please go whether you listen to this live on LinkedIn, live on Facebook, or on our podcast, please go to our podcast because everything's getting transitioned to our podcast. So you can listen to that. You don't have to look at my beautiful face and Glenn's beautiful face, but please comment on our podcast.
Yes,
really important.
Thank you.
Please comment. We haven't gotten a lot of comments recently, simply because most people are listening to us here. That's not true. Most people listen on podcasts, but there's not a lot of comments. So I appreciate if you like the show to listen to our podcast.
And that also goes for both the checking in feed and the no vacancy feed. If you could give us 5 stars and stuff, that really goes a long way to help us.
And also go to Hospitality Success on Facebook. We're doing a contest now for consultation with myself for free. So please go to Hospitality Success, or where all hotel owners and hoteliers are talking to each other. Hospitality Success on Facebook. Thank you very much. It's free. We're having a cool contest, and we're learning a lot of information. So, and you can find me anywhere you want to be on the internet at Anthony Hotels. And Glenn, thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you for being here with us every day. My thoughts go out to you. And now that you know, not much of a God guy, not my prayers, but God's good juju and energy going to you and your family to help you go through this time. I love you, Anthony. I love all of you guys out there. And we will see you tomorrow. Thanks for being here.
And thanks for checking in.